everyone. Welcome to our one and only episode of podcast where we review another podcast. So it's a very interesting concept we're going today. And the podcast that we decided to review on is called Are You Really an Adult or Are You Just Pretending? So I'll leave the rest of introducing on the podcast to Yasmin.
Okay, so for this specific podcast video, we took it from a channel called It's Clarity Co. And you can access it in YouTube and Spotify. And this specific channel itself, it's always talking about struggles in terms of growth journeys, fostering confidence, open-mindedness. And actually, for this specific episode for the podcast, it's really interesting because the speakers are all women. So we're seeing it from women's point of view.
I see.
But-
today, our team will have a man to give his perspective as well. So really looking forward to that. Thank you, Yasmin. And okay, the episode starts by questioning if maturity is about age or attitude. And the host pointed out that some women in their 50s are still figuring things out emotionally, and others in their 30s juggling adulting with their inner child. And us here, we're all still teens, basically. So, Myra, I want to ask you, how do you personally view this? Like, do you think maturity is more about age or it depends on your own mindset?
From what I understand, emotional maturity involves self awareness, balancing yourself to be vulnerable, and playfulness with responsibility. You have to know when to be serious and when to have fun. And emotional maturity involves every aspect of your life, where in relationship, friendship, and self-healing journey, where you have to mix of self-awareness, accountability, and empathy too. And it shows that life experience and self-growth reflect on not just your age, and it's involve our life experience.
Yeah, okay. I agree with that actually. What about you, Mia? You have anything to add on this?
Well, from the podcast, it mentions that maturity is not determined by age. Well, like Myra said just now, it's determined by our experience, self-awareness and emotional growth. And in my opinion, an older person doesn't necessarily have to be mature. It's basically how you reflect on your past mistakes and how you reflect as a person.
Yeah,
It's
she got a
okay.
point.
It's okay to be playful and vulnerable with yourself.
True, it's okay to not be mature all the time.
Yeah.
It's okay to let loose. So, yeah, with that, I think one of the topics that came up to mind when you mentioned about adulthood, maturity, would be managing your finance, okay? So it's all about being responsible for your own money, especially when you start earning them yourself. So Firdaus, what do you have to say on this? What's your take on financially responsible and the correlation with maturity?
So I believe financial responsibility is one of the most visible signs of maturity, and being able to manage your budget, to manage your money reflects discipline and accountability. So for me, from my experience, I'm not financially responsible. Because
He's self-aware.
because because like I bought all the things that I want, and I bought the things that I want, and I don't buy the things that I need. So I spend a lot of money with things that isn't
Necessary?
necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not what you need.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a friend, like, he thinks that he's mature. He thinks that he's mature.
He
but-
thinks.
But he's not.
What?
He's not mature because if you're claiming yourself mature, that is immature.
True.
Yeah, that's a hot take there.
So he said like he doesn't want to like ask for money from their parents and all that. But the truth is he still asks money from their parents. So what are you trying to show?
I feel like it's a bit on ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretending.
Don't stop trying to one up everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Spicy.
So you, Malia,
Me.
you Malia, you have experience living alone abroad.
Yes, I
So,
do.
Any takes on financial responsibility?
Yeah, actually, it's not as easy as you think. It's like because I was all by myself from the moment I was at KLIA until I was at the airport until I was in a new city, and having to like I think manage more on like your health insurance or like just like the important stuff that needs a lot of documentations and everything. It requires you to know how to navigate yourself well, especially because I don't go to like an English speaking country, so there's a language barrier as well. But I'm happy and I'm satisfied that I came prepared. Like I'd say decently fluent at it, and yeah, I think being abroad alone definitely like taught me so much on being mature, and especially that I made that decision when I was 19, and I think it was like the best way for me to spend my last teen before I entered the 20s. But yeah, guys. But okay, that's my take on that. And yeah, because I'm an only child, it was hard for my mom to let me go.
That you go alone.
Yeah, so far too. And speaking of being an only child and family wise, I want to know how does it contribute to someone's maturity level? So Yasmin, what do you think?
I think your upbringing from being a child and all the way until teenagehood and then adulthood, it affects it. Your personality, how you were brought up by your parents, and I think the role of adult in our life is really important because when adults in our environment is not acting like one, is not up to our expectation, as what mentioned, financial or maybe all these sort of things, how the way they act, the way they speak, us as maybe most of us as children, we are forced to act like an adult. We're forced to act like one, and I think that's kind of like robbing the childhood away, enjoying that childhood moments. It just disappear. And speaking of being an only child, I'm an eldest daughter, so obviously when both of my parents were working, it was, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but definitely the way they treat me as a child was different. They expect me to be independent, to be mature. And this sort of case actually happens to kids with absent parents too. Yeah. So they are forced to grow up really fast.
Yeah. And I mean, the podcast itself, they did advise on, not putting too much pressure on yourself. And you'll keep experiencing new things every year. So there's no really like, oh, you'll be mature. Like the podcast didn't mention about your frontal lobe developing at 25, but I don't know if that actually like applies. I don't think you can see like a very obvious difference. And the last thing that the podcast mentioned, they also discuss about feeling safe with your partner, and you are able to switch off your brain around that, and that shows like a sign of maturity and that they are a green flag. And yeah, we should, discuss about that. And Mia, do you agree with this idea?
Yes, I totally agree that when you're with your partner, you're a totally different person. And maturity in a relationship is basically when you know how to talk things out with your partner, you know how to communicate so you don't say the wrong stuff. That's basically being mature in a relationship. And with my partner, I'm a totally different person too, because I'm the oldest in my family and he's the youngest. So
the dynamic.
yeah,
The dynamic.
yeah, and he treats me like very nice, and I trust him, and my guards are down when I'm with him. And it's just honestly such a safe feeling being around him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's so fun you get to be childish with your
Yeah.
sibling.
It is
It's important to let down your guard once in a while. Okay, and the last final points in the podcast, I feel like this is something that each of us would just have a say on. It's about you use your life experience to make better decisions as you age. So like, do we all agree with that? We do, right? Yeah, it's a collective agreement. And before we wrap this up, do you guys have at least one, I'd say, piece of advice to people who are stressing on being mature all the time? Okay, let's go one by one, to wrap this up.
Whoa, third result.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start first.
Yeah.
Don't be pressured on the people around you. You are growing up. You're not growing old.
Oh,
Period. Take that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, from how I see it is that you surround yourself with people, and they're all like different type of people, right? You just grow up on your own pace. You do not have to be, like Kyla said, pressured by the other people. That's how I feel. Just do your own thing. You don't have to be so, oh, I want to be mature. I want to grow up real fast. But when you're older, you want to go back to when you were young.
Yeah, that's the nostalgia and stuff. Okay.
That's true.
For me, it's just you need to stop seeking other people's validation. You fill your own cup. You do things that make you happy. Put yourself first. And I think when you recognize that, it shows that you're
Mature.
mature. Yeah. Sarah?
I feel like maturity isn't a destination. It's filled with up and downs,
Mhm.
personal growth, and vulnerability.
Okay. Lastly, Firdaus.
Stop claiming you're mature.
He's still going on with that point.
You're not mature if you're claiming you're mature.
Okay.
Stop. Please stop.
Okay, guys, you heard him. Please stop. And I guess that is all from us. I hope that whatever we discussed today, we reflect on ourselves as well. And yeah, bye bye. Thank you for watching.